I'm a little bit physically challenged this morning. However, if you can hear me, I'm sure you'll remember every word I say. If you can't hear me, and I have a stooge up the back to remind me if I cannot be heard, so far he's nodding his head, so that's very good. Picture the roundabout in the middle of Jakarta, where Plaza Indonesia is, on a Sunday morning, where the fountain is, I should say. If you walk through there now, on a Sunday morning, there are thousands and thousands of people there. They are not demonstrating, they are modern Indonesians. You have people on every conceivable type of bicycle. You have families. You have ladies in hijab. You have men dressed up as Darth Vader. You have ancient, antique bikes. You have everything. And they're all out riding their bikes. That's modern Indonesia. They're not demonstrating. You can see that as well, sometimes each afternoon if you wish. CEPA. We've heard a lot today as to where it came from, who's been involved, and why are we doing it. But we thought this session could be very useful to do a little more, in a more forensic way, to delve into it. Hopefully, out of this negotiation, CEPA becomes a win-win for both countries. Definitely a win-win, and it's very much picking up on this whole point about economic development and market integration, as John Denton mentioned earlier. It will certainly still have three major components, though. Traditional FTAs tend to be dominant and concentrated on the trade of goods side. It's all about getting tariffs down. Well, we've already done that. We've done it under AIBC. So CEPA is definitely with AIBC as the base load, and then going up from there. Well, what is up from there? Well, it's particularly to pick up on the investment dimension, two-way investment that is, building alliances together to grow internationally, and especially on capacity building in all that that will require. Could I now introduce our speakers, and maybe if I could give you a quick pen sketch on our three speakers, and then each will speak. Paheri Sutanto is the head of the Trade Policy Analysis and Development Agency in the Indonesian Ministry of Trade, and is leading Indonesia's comprehensive economic partnership agreement from the Indonesian side. He joined the Trade Ministry in 1981 and has been posted to various positions dealing with international trade. He was the Industry and Trade Attaché in Indonesia's representative in Geneva, 95 to 97. Excuse me, and Brussels, 97 to 98. Prior to his appointment as the head of Trade Policy Analysis and Development Agency, he was the special assistant to the Minister for Trade Diplomacy, up till now, in fact, 2008 to 2011. Other positions in the ministry have included head of Research and Development for Foreign Trade and Director General for International Trade Cooperation. Paheri. Michael Mugliston. Michael dreams FTAs every night. He's been doing it for many years now. He led the free trade agreement negotiations with ASEAN and ANSFTA for 4 years, and we're within a hair's whisker of that now finally being enacted. And in fact, it was certainly signed in February 2009, and it's just to get down to those last couple of little items. In 2010, he was awarded the Public Service Medal for the work on ANSFTA, and it was very justly deserved considering the effort that had to go into it. Michael is currently responsible for the managing implementation of the ASEAN Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement, and he's also leading these negotiations on CEPA. But he's a very sinful person because he's also doing the Malaysian FTA negotiations as well. He recently served overseas as Deputy Head of Australia's mission to the EU in Brussels and was Counsellor in Australia's mission to the GATT in Geneva. So he and Harry know exactly where the best restaurants are in both cities. And our third speaker is Ian Satchell. Ian Satchell is a trade and investment advisor currently working with the Indonesian government Ministry of Trade in Jakarta through the Australia-Indonesia Partnership for Economic Governance. Ian has over 25 years of experience in industry development and trade policy, operating at the business-government interface. Prior to joining AIPEG, I should say, in 2010, Ian was a director of the Australian economics consultancy, ASL Tasman. He was also convener of the AIBC Economic Partnership Advisory Committee, which Danny's now taken over, a director of the Australian Services Roundtable, chairman of the Services Forum of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Western Australia, and member of the CCI General Council, as well as being a member of the WA State Advisory Council of the Committee for Economic Development of Australia, CEDA. And up until 2001, Ian held senior positions in several resources and energy industry associations. So this morning, what we thought we'd do is each of the panel members will come and make a positioning statement, and then Ian will do the sum up at the end of that. There'll be plenty of time for Q&A as well, and we'll definitely be at lunch by 12:30. Thank you very much. Please welcome our panel.
Well, thanks very much, Leith. Let's get straight down to this. What I would like to do, first of all, is just make some very brief introductory and contextual remarks about Australia and Indonesia. We've heard quite a lot of this already this morning, but in a nutshell for me, in terms of the perspective that I bring to the work that I've embarked on now with my team, is first of all, the Australian and Indonesian economies are the largest in the region. Both economies have good fundamentals. Significantly, we both recorded economic growth in the post-2008-09 global financial crisis period. As my minister, Dr. Emerson, noted earlier this morning, Indonesia is one of Australia's most important bilateral relationships on almost all fronts. However, a key area which is underperforming, I think Dr. Emerson used the word underweight, relative to the other areas of our relationship, is trade and investment. The economies that constitute ASEAN are a significant trading partner for Australia. What I'd like to do is just, first of all, look at the pie chart on the right-hand side of this slide first. In 2009-10 financial year, Australia's total two-way trade in goods and services with ASEAN was $78 billion, accounting for 15.3% of our trade. There we are. Making the ASEAN region our second largest trading partner behind China at 17.7%. So China, number one, 17.7. ASEAN, 15.3. The EU of 27 member states now, 14.8. Japan, 11.5. United States of America, 9.6. Korea, 5.1. India, 4.4. New Zealand, 4.1. Our major trading partners. Now, of the $78 billion in total trade, services trade was estimated to be worth $17 billion, and merchandise trade was estimated at around $61 billion. This is equivalent to 17% of Australia's total services trade and 15% of total merchandise trade. Now, ASEAN's share of world trade in goods and services was 3.3% in 1980, and this has increased to 6% in 2009. And over this period, as ASEAN's share of Australia's total trade has increased from 7.4% in 1979-80 to 15.3% in 2009-10. Now let's just take a very brief look at the bar graph on the left-hand side of this slide. And this shows that our trade with ASEAN has grown at an annualised rate of 8.6% over the last 6 financial years. And this includes the decline experienced there in 2009-10 due to the global financial crisis. But how about the Australia-Indonesia two-way trading relationship? For this, we need to move now to the next slide. And this is the story, looking at the last 10 years. This graph illustrates how, over the last 10 years, and despite being the region's 2 largest economies, Indonesia, as noted by Dr. Emerson this morning, has slipped from being Australia's 3rd largest ASEAN trading partner to our 4th. This graph shows how Singapore has remained as our largest ASEAN trading partner, but Thailand has moved from being 4th 10 years ago to a very significant increase here to now our 2nd within ASEAN. I just note, and I don't have time to go through this now, but as I think many of you are aware, Australia's FTA with Thailand entered into force on 1 January 2005. But we still have, of course, an extremely significant bilateral economic relationship. And our two-way trade with Indonesia, as others have noted, in 2009-10 was valued at $11.8 billion. And if we rank our top trading nations, Indonesia was Australia's 12th largest trading country and 11th largest export market, whereas Australia was Indonesia's 9th largest trading country and 9th largest export market.